What are your guys' thoughts on Meta ads versus Google AdWords? Do you feel ROI is better on one or the other?
Great question, Steve. Thank you for the couple questions you asked. I'm going to break it down a couple different ways. Hopefully this answers your question. Google AdWords are going to be placed in front of somebody once they're sitting down in front of a search engine and they're actually typing in an inquiry. So it's a very intentional search. A Google ad is being put in front of somebody that's already somewhat intentional, maybe a couple steps down the sales pipeline, because they're doing some research. They're inquiring about something online. So when you put your ad in front of them, they're already showing indicators of interest in moving forward with a purchase. So a Google AdWord, a Google lead might be, or a Google impression, or however you want to, whatever metric you want to use, might be a little bit more expensive in some cases than a Meta impression or click. But my argument would be that's a more intentional, they're probably a couple steps further down the sales pipeline than a Meta ad. Now, Meta ads are something that somebody doesn't even have to have shown an inclination that they're interested in your product or service, but based on their information, the demographics, things we talked about, you're going to place your ad on their stream in front of them. So what you're doing with Meta ads, you're trying to expose your product and service to a bunch of people that might not even be thinking necessarily about buying that product or service, but now you've stimulated their interest and they may move forward and continue down the process and become a customer. They also might be considering it, but they haven't really taken a step to actually do research or whatever, but then they see your ad and that's what stimulates them to move forward. So I really feel like AdWords and Meta ads really reach people in two different ways. Google is already people that you know are somewhat interested because they're already doing some research. Meta is putting you in front of a bunch of people that might not even understand that they might be interested in your service. So you're kind of casting a wider net to try to reach people that might not even be thinking about your product or service, but you may reach some people that you can then convert and bring them in. Google is reaching people that are already showing signs that they're interested. And then the ROI, it's really hard to answer that question as far as return on investment, because in different markets, Google ads work really, really well, but they can be very competitive. So they can be very costly. And Meta ad, like sometimes it depends on the budget somebody has. If a client comes to us and says they have not an unlimited budget, but a much more, a larger budget to where they could do different things. In my mind, running both Meta ads and Google ads would be advantageous because you hit both sides of that. But if you come to me with a very limited budget and you're in a competitive market, I might not put you into Google ads because you just might not have enough money to really make an impact there, where you might be able to make some headway with Meta ads. So I hope that helps, Steve. I know I talked a lot around the topic, but I hope I hit on some things that made sense to you.
I would just add, as far as like we mentioned before, anytime that you're using Meta and the platforms, make sure you're putting out organic stuff as well as the stuff that you're going to be posting. And that way you can see what's working organically. And then maybe that's the stuff that kind of gives you a litmus test of what's working with people. And the only difference too is that you might get more of a return on a video and a reel on Instagram and Facebook, just because it's kind of marketed out to people a little bit better versus a Google AdWord where that's somebody's going to be specifically typing for that. So there is going to be a difference in how each of these work. I think personally, I think it's a lot more targeted and you can get a lot juicier into the Google AdWords than you can with the Facebook and Meta ads as far as that goes. But it's one of those, I would do both and kind of see what's working and then keep trying and see, like, how do you tweak each one in a way if you can? Because one, you can go and post for free in the Google business sections and have stuff going, and then creating content on Facebook and Instagram is free as well. It's just a matter of what am I actually boosting? That's going to be the big question too. You might be boosting a dud of a post that's just not going to get anything if you just just post it and put money behind it, and you don't know what's going to happen with that. Whereas if you look back in your last 2 or 3 weeks of organic and see like, oh, okay, the one from Wednesday and last Tuesday did really well organically, so let's put some more money behind that, and then you might actually get some returns on those.
Yeah, absolutely.